Danny Segura for MMA Junkie. I'm here with Demetrious Johnson, who returns to the ring this weekend on Friday at 1 on Prime Video 1 in a highly anticipated rematch against Adriano Moraes. First of all, DJ, how are you, man? And thank you for taking time to chat with us.
I'm good, man. Just woke up from sleep. It is 1:35 a.m. here in Singapore. It's just chilling, man. Living my best life.
Yeah. So these fight weeks, like you're accustomed now to going to the other side of the world. Is it kind of routine now, or is it still like some sense of novelty to get out there?
It's mostly routine.
Mhm.
Now, my last couple of years, I've been trying to get on their time zone,
Yeah.
right? So just powering through the day, getting outside where it's sunny outside, and getting the sun in your eyes, so let your body know, hey, it's morning, so let's get on this schedule. You're fighting their time at night. Now that I'm still fighting on U.S. time zone, it's a little bit tricky because right now everything's still closed. I can't go outside. There's no sun. It's still dark outside. So tricking the body that you're still on U.S. time is the hardest thing that I have to do when I come over here. But I get used to it.
Yeah, for sure. And most of your career, you fought obviously in the U.S. Do you prefer that? I'm assuming it's just easier with the travel, food, everything, right? Time zone as well.
Oh, 1,000%. Fighting in Las Vegas has always been my favorite place because it's 3 hour flight. It's the city of sin, and they don't charge taxes, and it's the lights, the lifestyle out there. It's fun to go out there and compete, and it's like a big show, right?
Yeah.
Fighting, at the what's the place called, the T-Mobile Arena there, the Mandalay Bay, the MGM headlining there. U.S. is always going to be my preferable spot to fight as an athlete, just because it's very convenient for me.
Yeah, and it sounds like you miss it. Do you ever tell the one people like, "Hey, let's have another event in the U.S.?" I know you fought for them in L.A., right? Like a few years ago.
Well, I didn't fight for one in L.A. That was UFC. But yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. One championship, they're going to make their way into the U.S. It's just taking the time, finding the right spot, and just making the right splash when the time is right. So obviously, when they fight in the U.S., if I'm able to be on their card, I would love to be on there, depending on where it's at. And yeah, man, do my thing in the States.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this fight against Adriano Moraes. It's a rematch. For you, it's technically immediate. He's fought after the first meeting that you guys had. So it's been a little bit over a year since you guys competed together, April of 2021. So why the long layoff? Is this by design? Is this something that you wanted? Obviously, you did suffer a knockout in that fight. Why the long layoff for you?
It wasn't a long way up. I just fought in March, same day he fought, when he fought Yuya Wakamatsu. So I had a mixed rules fight with probably one of the dangerous strikers on the roster, one championship against Ratang. And that was a great fight. And this is the fight they offered me, right? So I thought I was going to go down back to the ladder and work my way back up to a title shot. But they're like, hey, we want you to fight him again. I was like, sweet, sounds good. Sign me up, send the contract. And that's how it happened.
Right, yeah, it's been a layoff since for mixed martial arts, but yeah, you had that mixed bout against Ratang. Are you going to do that again, or do you want to stick to MMA? Like, how was your experience in that?
It was great, to be honest with you. Like, a lot of people says it was a time off from mixed martial arts. I don't think it was time off from mixed martial arts because I trained Muay Thai in my training camp, right? And the only difference from the mixed rules fight to mixed martial arts was that it was 3 minutes and I couldn't wrestle, right? And there's been fights in my career where I didn't get the opportunity to wrestle. Against Harry Sajuda, Ali Bagatina, that was pretty much a 5-round stand-up fight because I couldn't, his wrestling was so good.
Right.
His samba was so good. So, yeah, honestly, there was no different. Will I do it again if it's the right opponent and if it's the right event? 1X was 10-year anniversary for one championship against an amazing opponent, Ratang, superstar, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world in Muay Thai. So it was a no-brainer.
Yeah. And leading up to this fight against Moraes, this rematch, has the result, and obviously the result was a result of the rules of one championship, right? Vastly different from the ones that we see here in the US. But has it made you put an extra focus, and has it created almost extra awareness of the strikes on the ground, of the knees on the ground, something that you didn't have to deal with for so many years fighting in the US?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but like I said, in 2021 when it happened is that how do you train for? I mean, I know how to train for it, but it's kind of hard. Like when you get rocked. I've been rocked before in my career. Jon Johnson's rocked me. Joseph's rocked me when I got put on my butt and I try to get up and I'm not worried about needing to face. So now you just gotta, I'm more aware of, like, when I get rocked, don't stick your arm in there for an underhook. Take your time, go to your back and actually play off your back. So it's just a little bit different, but like I said, it's something that, how do you train that when you're concussed? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those drills where they spin around. I think Fedor did it one time. He would spin around super fast and he'll start hitting pads when his equilibrium's off. I mean, we could do stuff like that, but
I've seen
we'll
that.
see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, but I'm assuming like there's certain things that with the ground strikes allowed, with the knees on the ground allowed, like there's certain positions that in MMA that, or maybe certain moves that you would use that would be advantageous, whereas under this rule set they wouldn't be, or maybe they would be, but the risk of getting knocked out would be greater, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think if I was, there and not saying I know, I was just like, oh shit, get up, and then bam, got hit with it. So, now it's like, oh shit, you got dropped. Take your time. Kind of what Charles Oliveira does. He gets dropped and he's like, come on, come to my guard. And then people are like, I ain't going down there. Then he gets a chance to stand up. So, like I said, it was a good execution by Adriano, and you just move forward.
Yeah. But what rule set do you prefer fighting in?
I don't mind them, honestly. I truly don't. It doesn't bother me.
You just play by the rules, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, when they were like, hey, you want to fight Rodzing? Sure, why not? Hey,
no, I mean, like,
again? No, I mean, that's my.
Oh yeah, your mindset. Mm-hmm.
My mindset. It's like, hey, this is the rules. Like, perfect. Like, when they offered me the Rodzing fight, they're like, we're doing Muay Thai first, MMA. I was like, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, for sure. And this rematch against Moraes, obviously a big fight, an opportunity here for you to get that one back. You've had huge fights across your career, right? Like so many. Where would you rank this one?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. I see all my fights equally how big they are, right? Because it's another opportunity for me to go out there, display my mixed martial arts skills in front of the world on an amazing platform, one championship on Amazon Prime. So for me, I don't see one above the other, right? I think, they're all fights.
Yeah. You a Prime customer, by the way?
Fuck yeah.
You get that one-day delivery?
I get that one-day delivery, same-day delivery, and I like my content on Prime Video. I just finished the Toronto list. That was absolutely amazing. And then we have the Ring of Power coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah, September 1st.
Yes, I can't wait for that. So I'm a big fan of what Prime Video does. It's almost like an extra bonus if you have Amazon Prime. So it's not like a subscription. I mean, it is a subscription fee, but you get more. You get, Alexa music, not music videos, but music, Prime Video, and same day shipping. So I can't complain.
And now you can catch Mighty Mouse fighting. So it's a complete package. Oh, I think you froze up on us.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. And you got Thursday Night Football. So
there we go.
No, you froze. I said it's an amazing deal. Prime. Now you can watch Thursday Night Football, and now you can watch Friday night fights for one championship.
Yeah, for sure, man. By the way, you Lord of the Rings fan? You mentioned the Rings of Power.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that one. I feel like that was for years like an unexplored world, right? Like you see all these series like take out like prequels and spin-offs, and I feel like the Lord of the Rings has such a vast universe that like it was never really exploded or utilized until now, really. I mean, well, I guess you got the Hobbit movies, but
yeah, I agree with you. I think the Hobbit movies was a good prequel to the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, to Two Towers, and Return of the King. And I think with Ring of Powers, we might see more of the lore about when Sauron made the ring and how he enslaved, each, the elves and men and the dwarves and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to watch it. And, it's great content. Content is king.
Yeah, for sure, man. So let's get back to fighting. And I want to ask you this. Last time I spoke to you was before that Adriano Moraes fight. I don't know if you remember. It was literally right before. It was about a year ago. And you were telling me how, at the time I was asking you like, hey, you're with one now, but have you ever, has it ever crossed your mind to like maybe, explore again free agency and go somewhere else, maybe return to the UFC? And you were pretty adamant in saying like, nah, I think, my days, I'm going to finish out my days here at One Championship. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm 36 years old. I got a couple more fights left in my contract, and I'm happy over here. So I don't see why not. Obviously when I come to that bridge and I have to cross it, obviously my mindset could be different. When I was, 31 years old and I was doing, the 11 consecutive title defense, I was like, I think I want to stop fighting when I'm 35, just because I don't know what my body's gonna be like when I'm 35. But now I'm 36, right. I feel great, and here I am still competing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. How much longer do you see right now? Obviously things can change, but more or less, what do you envision for yourself as far as the rest of your career?
I think 3 to 4 more years, I'll probably keep on competing depending on how my body feels. And then after that, I want to spend as much time with my family and my kids. They're getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I love being a father. I love being a husband. I love being at home. That's one of the things I truly cherish. And then as far as competition-wise, I think I'll focus more on grappling, just because you can't, you're not taking any brain trauma to the head, any shots to the head. Brain trauma is results of getting shots to the head. So I think I'll focus more on grappling, and go from there, man.
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple fights left on your contract. So is it just 2 fights that are left right now?
I got a lot more. I mean,
okay.
From where I started, I'm like almost done. So.
Okay. And so no interest whatsoever in exploring free agency, because you still remain one of the biggest names outside of the UFC today.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens. Like, I told myself when I was 31, I didn't want to fight when I was 35, and here I am at 35. So yeah, we'll see what the landscape is like, and when we get to that bridge, I'll look at it and see what I want to do. It was the same thing I did when I wanted to get out of my UFC contract when I thought fighting Harry Sajuda the second time. I was like, what do you want to go do? And right. I think Conor McGregor said it the best. Options are always good. It's always good to have options. So when I get to that point in my career, I'll sit down with my team and see what we want to do, and then pick the best option for me. And right now I believe probably staying in Asia is probably the best option. I'm having a great time here. I'm having fun. And like I said, I want to continue, doing grappling. And One Championship has grappling. They're gonna have Mikey Musumeci taking on a gentleman for the grappling world tournament. For me, I would love to, do grappling and compete in the gi and go that route. So if there's an option, which I wouldn't see why not, One Championship would explore the gi. I like watching gi better than no gi, because I see no gi and I'm like, man, like things would be different if you could punch them in the face. Right. Or you have the combat jiu-jitsu, you slap somebody and it forces them to move. To in gi, I just jump back in my gi, working towards further my knowledge. I see how you can use it as a tool. And I just, like this right here, like,
the lapels,
the lapel and the collars. Like, I'm just so fascinated by it and how you're able to move and invert. And I'm just like, so when I watch no-gi and gi, I'm like so turned on by gi than no-gi. So I'm like, no-gi, I was like, shit, you might as well be fighting. You might just get butt ass naked and just start hitting each other, right? But that's my perspective when I watch it.
Yeah. And you mentioned how, when you were 31, you were thinking like, hey, at 35, I'm done. But you got to that point of your career, you still feel good. The body feels amazing. But overall, I mean, you do have a lot of fights under your record. The body is still, like, physically, you still feel fine?
But yeah, body's great. Still feel fine. I mean, checked my weight this morning, 138. Drinking my water. Had some chocolate M&Ms last night. Had some Hershey's, and I'm chilling, man. I mean, the only thing I noticed the difference between fighting when I was 31, or training when I was 31 or 25, is that the recovery is so much faster. Where now it's, I'll do one hard day of sparring and I feel it afterwards. I'm like, damn. I'm like, it's different.
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest thing. I talk to a lot of fighters who are, in their mid-30s or even later, and they're like, oh, I feel great. But the thing is the recovery. That's where you like feel it the most, especially like after wrestling. They tell me that's when your body is so sore, where before you can just train nonstop.
Yeah, I think it was wrestling. Wrestling and sparring is the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Mostly Muay Thai sparring. Like MMA sparring, my body doesn't get as sore, beat up because you have different levels of the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the striking. Where Muay Thai, it's like you're basically going back and forth, punching each other, kneeing, kicking, sweeping. So, and I'm one of the smaller guys in the gym. Like my main training partner, James, he walks around like 165, 170, 5'11", and then Tony, he's about 185 on a good day, and he's about 5'5", and then Matt, he's like 5'11", 170. So I'm not going with guys who are like 5'3", 5'4". Actually, I do have Sadman, and he's like 140, 140. Then so 9 out of 10 times I'm going to guys who are fucking bigger than me. So and then Ryan, he's actually 145 taller. So that's where the wear and tear comes to the body, is the training. And as long as I train smarter instead of harder, I feel way better.
Yeah, for sure. And talk to me about the preparation for this fight, because most of them have been done obviously in Washington. That's where you live, but you like fairly recently moved to Arizona, right? So have you? And I know you've been getting training with Henry Sajuda. That's all over his YouTube channel. Are you now doing camp over at Fight Ready, or are you still going to Washington? You mentioned Matt and some of the guys there.
Yeah, so full time is always going to be AMC. That will never change. And I do have a home in Arizona now. My wife wanted a house out there, so we decided to get a house out there. And it's about 45 minutes away from Fight Ready, and what an amazing facility. Amazing athletes, the roster of athletes they have over there, and they're so accommodating, and everybody was chill, right? Like no egos whatsoever. To be able to mix it up with a former opponent, Harry Sajuda, absolutely amazing, because you can train, you can fight each other, and you fight, you share that moment inside the cage. But then to have the opportunity to be able to train together and pick each other's brain, and there's some things that he did, I'm like, wow, that's very impressive. And if he still fought, I'm sure he would probably be the champion, just because how good he is. It's just about does he want to do it? I mean, obviously he's back in the USADA pool. He want to take time off to have a baby, get married. So I think those things are very important. Those things were very important to him. And yeah, I think I'm going back out there in November for Thanksgiving. So I think we're going to train a little bit out there. And if he was to call me like, hey man, like, do you mind coming out here and training with me for a little bit? I'll be like, yeah, let me talk to the wife. And that's very easy to do since I have a house out there.
Right.
So preparation was good, man. Spent 2 weeks out there at Fight Ready with some great wrestlers. Henry Cejudo, they came back home, finished camp. I think this camp was probably 11 to 12 weeks, all said and done. And we're ready to go out there and see how we do.
Yeah, for sure. And Henry Cejudo's in an interesting position, right? Because he left as champ. He left on top of the world. And, he had most of his issues were like contractual, right? He just wanted to get paid more. But then obviously he also had those things in his personal life that he wanted to achieve. And it looks like he's done that. And, he reinstated in back in the USADA pool, but we haven't really heard beyond that as far as a return. What would you advise him as like a veteran in the game? You fought him. Because obviously I'm sure he wants to get paid more and go out there and get your worth for sure. But it also feels like, he is one of the best fighters today at 135, if not the best. And, prime years keep going and he's been inactive. So like, what would you advise him? Because it's a tricky situation, right?
Just go out there and fight. We talked about it when we were out there, and I understand his standpoint. And for me, I did the father thing during my career. I had my first son when I was getting ready to fight Jon Moraes in Seattle. So for me, my lifestyle, I've always wanted to be married. And when me and my wife got married, I said, okay, we got married, and then let's have our first kid as I'm champion, so I get used to the lifestyle, so I can add that into my career. Where he did the opposite. He became champion, double champ, and then he had his first baby and whatnot. So now he's trying to get back into the swing of things. So for me, I was like, dude, you should have just did it when you were doing it. But everybody's different. But for him, he's focused on getting his weight down, and he's trying to focus on where he's going to go. If he's going to go 135, or he's going to fight Alex Volkanovski. So I think the biggest advice I give him is stay fresh and be ready. Just decide what route they're going to give him. And as far as the money wise, get to a point where you have leverage, and once you have that leverage, use it and see if you get what you want.
Yeah, certainly. And at 135, I mean, you've trained with him. You feel like he's still very much game. You still feel like,
Oh yeah, he's
yeah.
still legit. Yeah, he's, like I said, if he would have never stopped. I remember a long time ago, my coach, he got better when he stopped training. He took a step back from the sport, and he was watching people, seeing what worked and what didn't, and how people moved certain ways. And he got extremely better. So like the first day I trained with Matt, when I came to AMC, he was good. But now, and he hasn't competed in years, he's leaps and bounds from where he was. So I think the time for Harry Sajuda to see different athletes come through, like Jon Jones, myself, Willie, Korean Zombie, he's able to pick things up and see where these guys are successful. Even myself, like I think when we're out there, I'll sound like, dude, you're wrestling so good that if we work together on your ground game, like you're gonna start busting out fucking arm bars and stuff, because you're wrestling so dominant that my background is wrestling, and I use my wrestling ability to set up my submissions attempts. So for him, when you usually see him, he's good with crossing distance now. He's good at measuring distance, and he has his wrestling still. So it's like, dude, or his clinch game. It's like there's things we can add to each other's games that will make him even better, right? Because me going out there, he made me better, like at certain things mentally, and focus on certain things, and being a gamemanship, right? That's one thing that he has, that I didn't realize. And yeah, so I think when he comes back, I think people are in for a treat.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've been wanting to see him back. I know, obviously, it's good to get paid and all that, but selfishly, as just a fan of the sport, like that guy's a world-class talent, and just a combat sports royalty. Keeping in mind, his Olympic background as well. So
absolutely,
definitely want to see him back. How much do you keep tabs on the UFC's flyweight division? Like, do you tune in and you know what's going on?
I still do, just because I'm a fan of Brandon Moreno, Figueiredo, Kai France. Brandon and Kai France, they're part of the tough season that I was a part of when I fought the champion. So I kind of keep track of it. I keep track of that one, and also the bantamweight division, because I'm a fan of Ajo, Peter Yan, and Sugar Sean O'Malley. So I got eyes on it.
Yeah. What do you make of this series that Moreno and Figueiredo have had? And also, have you had a chance to train with Figgy?
No, I have not. He wasn't in Arizona when I was there.
Okay.
So haven't trained with him. And it's good. Those guys keep going back and forth and winning. I think who there was another top competitor in the flyweight division, Pantoja. I think Pantoja is there, man. I think he deserves his shot at a world title.
Yeah.
I think, obviously I understand where he's coming from the love from the fans, or trying to get his opportunity to shine. But I think he's there for the picking. I think he just needs an opportunity to go out there and just fight for that belt. And I think we will see him wearing gold sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, he does have 2 wins over Moreno. Granted, a very different Moreno, but Pantoja has also improved since.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like I said, man, it's just the opportunity in the path for some of these guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson knocked out Charles Oliveira at 145, and here's Charles Oliveira now as the 155-pound king, and Cub Swanson hasn't tasted gold. So it's all different. It's all based on the path that people take in their careers. So sometimes it gets them, they're in the right place in the right time and in their career, and they get a world title shot. And some people go on, fucking look at Islam Makhachev. What's his 15 win streak, right? And he's now getting a title shot. And here's Alex Pereira. He's on 2-5 win streak. He's getting a fucking title shot. So like I said, man, everybody's career path is totally different to gold. And I think Pantoja, once he, he's the biggest guy I got my eye on, because, very down to earth guy, very humble, family man. Always been a fan of his skill set. And, I'm like, damn, what's that man gonna get a title shot? Nothing against Brandon Moreno or Figueiredo, but it's like, fuck, those guys fought 4 times. It's like, there's nothing I'm gonna see. Obviously, I'm sure I'm going to see something different, but it's like, it wouldn't hurt to throw new blood in there. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, like, obviously there was a thing where Figueiredo wasn't ready to defend the belt because he injured his hand, and he just fought, I think, 2 months ago. And so they gave him the fight to Kai France and Brandon Moreno. It's like, you know, Kai France knocked out Cody Garbrandt, you know, so it's like, why don't you give Pantoja a fight in there?
Yeah, for sure. I think they're just waiting to figure out this fourth well, I don't even know how you would call it, quadruple rivalry, whatever. But yeah, as soon as that gets sorted out, I feel like we'll see some of the new blood. And yeah, Pantoja is well deserved of a title shot. I mean, what he's done, it's quite remarkable in the flyweight division. Plus, his jiu-jitsu's killer. Like, big fan of Pantoja as well. So we'll see what's next for him. Hopefully, you know, they don't make him sit out for too long, because again, he definitely deserves a shot. And something interesting at the flyweight division is we've seen the belt change hands constantly, right? Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo going back and forth. Really, the last time that we saw some stability was when you were champion. I know that you don't like to sort of talk too much about your accolades, and you let the public do that. Very well aware of that. But have you ever looked back and be like, you see, it's a lot harder than what people thought it was? I mean,
1,000%. I mean, you look at what happened to, you know, Kamaru Usman, right?
Yeah,
like I truly thought that he was gonna be the gentleman to break my longest consecutive title defense record, right? Like, I had him
11, right?
11. Yeah, I had him on that list that he was gonna break it. I think Valentina Shevchenko will break it just because she's leaps and bounds ahead of her competition, and I also think the pull in women's mixed martial arts isn't as vast. You know,
it's not that deep.
It's not that deep. So, you know, I'll see her. I mean, she's just light years above people. Yeah, it's definitely hard. You know, Izzy Adesanya, I think he's on his fourth or fifth. I'm not sure. So, and the thing that's different compared to now in the past is like, now it's like, hey, we got to find the right fight. We got to build this fight up. We want to sell pay-per-view. We want to make as much money as possible. To where I was fighting, I was like, I was fighting 3 times a year, getting surgery, you know, fought Dotson, Chicago, got surgery in March, turned around, fought John Moraga in July, and turned around, fought Jose Benavidez in December. And I was just super active fighting. I just didn't care, you know. Now it's more of a big show. If I fight this guy, it's going to bring me, you know, probably 2 million pay-per-view buys, whatever it may be. So it's just different back then. Like, I was just going through them. Just same with Daniel Silva. He was fighting super active. Same with Jon Jones, active. It's like, it was different times. Now it's a big buildup.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I feel like now the fad, if you want to call it, is you become champion, maybe defend the belt a couple times, and champ, right? Like, everyone wants to be champ. Do you feel like people don't put as much respect in like staying in a weight class and having long consecutive title reigns? Because in my opinion, and I know the double belt looks nice for the photo and all that, and certainly not taking a shot at that, but in my opinion, it's a lot harder to do what you did.
I got 11. I got a photo of 11 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the champ status is something that a lot of people want to strive for, because it's a hard thing to do. I don't want to say it's a hard thing to do, actually. It is and it isn't, right? I can't say it's not hard because I didn't do it, but I think somebody who stays in a weight class very consistent and keeps on fighting over and over and over, like Alex Volkanovski, I understand why he's going after the champ status, right? Because there's literally nobody left on 145 that he can fight besides
Josh Emmett.
Josh Emmett, yeah.
Or Jair Rodriguez. Those are the two.
What's the other guy? Josh Emmett who?
Jair Rodriguez? Jair?
Yeah. Jair Rodriguez? Yes. He can fight those two. He hasn't fought those guys. So, but for him, he's waiting for a big, like I said, it's about the big name. He's waiting for that big opposing threat where it's like, holy like, people are talking about this guy, so we're going to fight him. He's going to sell a lot. I don't know. But I think Alex is more, he doesn't care. He'll fight whoever. Once it gets sorted out, he goes, once you guys figure out the number 1 contender, I'll be back to fight this person. Till then, I'm going to go challenge myself to 155. I think what Henry did was harder. Like, he came down, he beat me, then he defended the belt, and then he went up won a belt, and then defended it, right? You know, you have Conor, he got the 145, then he went straight to 155, didn't defend any of them. Zero. So it's kind of like he got that champ status, but it wasn't like he wasn't a long reigning champion. So I think staying in the division and, you know, going 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 is very, very hard. It's very consistent, and the weight cutting, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then championship, you come up, you win that one fight, so boom, you got it, you're done, right? The consistency is what's hard. I mean, anything in life, to be consistent and disciplined in life in one thing is very, very hard.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with your assessment. And you had throughout your career a couple opportunities, or it was talked about you potentially going at 135 and challenging for a second belt there, since you were so dominant at 125. Looking back, do you ever regret not making that jump?
No, because I think because it wasn't what I wanted. Right, I felt at the time when we were doing it, I was so fixated on beating that record. I was fixated, right? Like Anderson Silva set that record for, I think it was 10 consecutive defenses. So I was gunning for that, because, you know, that's history, right? Now to say that's what everybody's trying to. Now it's funny because now the UFC talks about who has the most world championship title wins, right? And I haven't been in that organization since 2008, and your boy's still on that ESPN goes, who has the world's longest win? It's like still there, motherfucker. Yeah. So I mean your imprint's there, right? It's on ESPN. You know, the shit. My buddy was like, dude, I just saw your submission on ESPN against Ray Borg, throwing him in the air, and I was like, that's imprinted. That's imprinted on, you know, that organization in the U.S. soil. So I think, if once I hit 11 and if the opportunities and the terms are right to do the super fight, then I think I would or gone up to 135. I think I would have done it. But, you know, it just never happened. And I'm truly a small 135. I mean, like I said, I woke up this morning with 138 and I was having M&Ms and Hershey's last night. So I think if I wanted to make 125 in one championship, and do it too, is really worth it.
Yeah, for sure. So were you so fixated on breaking that record because you mentioned like you just saw it as such a harder hill to climb than, you know, just becoming champ?
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah.
Like I said, you saw. I mean, with Usman, you know, I think it was his 6th title defense. Just it is what it is. I think it's harder, and like I said, it's my perspective of the sport. To be consistent and consecutive, it's the hardest thing to do, right? I mean, I think in one championship, the longest champion was Bibiano Fernandez with 9 consecutive title defenses. John Lineker, and you know, I know Adriano, he was on a long win streak for a while, but then he lost to J.H. Stacchio, then got it back, then lost to Kairat Akhmatov. So, I mean, I think this is his 2nd title defense. I mean, I'll have to go look, but, you know, once again, it's the consistency of whether it's split decision loss or controversial loss. You know, it's hard to be consistent.
Yeah, and especially in mixed martial arts. I'm never gonna forget a conversation I had with another WEC legend, Mike Brown, and you know, one time I interviewed him after I think he was knocked out, and you know, he didn't really have an explanation as to why it happened, but he was just like telling me like, look, you fight so long, like every time you fight, you're rolling the dice, right? Like there's always this percentage of chance that if you stick around long enough, you're gonna get knocked out, and even if you do everything perfectly, right? Like that's just the name of the game. So we're freezing up here.
I mean, judgment.
We're good. Sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, like I said, I said, you know, I totally agree with your assessment. Like if Khabib would have stayed around long enough, I think he would have had his day judgment too. I mean, it comes for all of us. It's just like death. At the end of the day, we all can't get out alive, so you must enjoy it and have a good time.
Yeah, certainly. One last question. Everyone sees you, in my opinion, as well, and I feel like most as well, they still see you as the flyweight goal. Obviously, we just talk about that. long accolade that you had of 11 consecutive title defenses, which is, you know, extremely difficult to do. That's why you're still the record holder. Do you feel yourself that way, or do you reminisce and you'd be like, yeah, I'm the greatest ever at 125?
I can say that. Yeah, I can say that. I think what I've accomplished, you know, see, it's different. Flyweight GOAT to go to the GOAT, two different conversations.
Yeah, flyweight GOAT.
Right? Yeah, I will go with that. I mean, what I've been able to accomplish in mixed martial arts and flyweight over in the North America promotion in UFC, and then obviously what I've been able to accomplish so far in one championship. You know, I have been a world champion over here. I haven't held gold, but I've held platinum in the World Grand Prix. So, you know, like I said, I think consistency is king. I think what I've done and shown in my skill set, how I oppose my will on people, like I don't, you know, I think my fighting style speaks for itself. Like my style is high pressure, ground, clinch. I mean, the way I beat people, the way I knocked out Harry Sajuda, Joseph Benavidez, did a submission that nobody's ever fucking seen before. Like, you know, and I've had my losses too, you know, like I'm not saying my career is perfect, but yeah, I would see, I have not seen yet to this day where a flyweight has come and done, you know, I went for, you know, heel hook, dropping Joseph and submitting him. But then I didn't see the consistency. I didn't see him making weight. I've seen him having troubles making weight. Then, you know, he showed up against Brandon Moreno that second fight, and it was just he wasn't there. So I would say for me, in all my fights, I was mentioning this the other day, in all my fights, I've always shown up. You know, obviously even the last Harry Sajuda fight, I showed up, competed.
Close fight.
Adriano Moraes, my Adriano Moraes fight. Like, you know, somebody said, like, dude, you know, you wasn't losing that fight. Like, it was pretty fucking even. Like, especially the things you had to overcome with him being so fucking tall, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, you ducked into the uppercut and you got blasted with the fucking face with a knee. It was like, I mean, you showed up. Like, it wasn't like you were behind, you were flat-footed, not there. So yeah, I would say yeah. I would argue that the GOAT, the flyweights.
Yeah.
If you want to argue, we can argue. I mean, like
I agree with you. I ain't gonna argue with you. I think you're definitely the flyweight GOAT, and pound for pound, one of the best fighters that has walked this earth, certainly. And we get a treat. We get to see you return here this Friday at 1 Prime Video. Obviously, Saturday in Singapore, Friday for us here on North America. Well, DJ, I hope I didn't take a ton of your time. We're almost 40 minutes in the conversation, but I really enjoyed it. Best of luck this Friday. Looking forward to the rematch. And thank you for taking time to talk to us.
Absolutely, man.